Live. Oh, I was muted. We are live. What is up, fight nerds and dirty gamblers? I am Erik, and this is Erik Bets Fights. It's like we got one homie hanging out in the chat already. We got to shout out Dale Lippin. If y'all listen to the Punch List MMA podcast, Dale is one half of that podcast. One of the best and most listened to MMA betting podcasts out there. So it is always a cool thing to have Dale in the chat. We'll probably have a few other folks popping in. But yeah, for those of you who are here, meaning Dale, and for those of you watching it later, thank you so much for joining us. This is a little show we call Big Money Bets. I bring on a guest every week, and we go through our favorite parlays and our favorite props for the upcoming UFC card. Usually I do like a little bit of a recap of how things went for the last event. Let's put it this way. I do more of a recap if it went well. If I don't do much of a recap, that means it didn't go well. But the only thing I hit last week was the two-leg parlay. My two-leg parlay was Brendan Allen and Jack Della Maddalena. I did hit Weili Zhang who was part of the four-leg parlay, but didn't hit the rest of that. We go through 6 props at the end of the show. I didn't hit any of my props, you guys, but just a couple of weeks ago, I did hit the full 6-leg parlay, and I hit 2 of my 6 props. So we'll just pretend we're still riding on that. But yeah, last week didn't go great. I've been trying to change my approach a little bit, because I had been like picking the props according to how good the numbers looked. Like I was like, well, I want my smallest prop to be like a plus 500, And then it's like I started thinking like, the number doesn't really matter that much if I don't actually hit some of them once in a while. So, and I was always like putting 1 or 2 underdogs in the parlay and stuff. And I'm like, I should stop thinking about making sure the number sounds impressive and start thinking about actually hitting some things or putting some things down that are actually going to hit. Daz Files is in here. Let's go. Gotta love Daz Files. That guy is like the friendliest, most supportive dude in the entire community. Yeah, once Daz Files is showing up in your chat, that's how you know you've made it in this MMA handicapping world, because that guy is around supporting everybody. Oh, anyway, yeah. So, like I said, I'm trying to focus a little more on not worrying about numbers that sound good and trying to pick some things that are actually going to hit. But then, as I was putting my slate together for the show today, I was realizing like, oh yeah, I might have made that mistake again. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Victor popped in here as well. What's up, gentlemen? How's it going, Victor? Great to have you here. Victor's been here pretty consistently as well. I think he was here last week. Good to see you again. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and just jump right into the show, folks. I am super excited for the guest I'm bringing on for you tonight. He's a guy that I've been aware of for a while. We didn't actually start talking to each other and getting to know each other just within like the last few days, but we spent some time chatting today. We spent a little time chatting before the show. Super nice dude, super sharp dude who's out there working hard. He's the co-host of a show called ChronicCombat Conversations. I hope I got that right. We're going to bring him on right now. He is called the Guru. What's going on, Guru?
Dude, that's so funny. I muted myself too. What's going on? I'm so happy to be here, man. Thanks so much for having me on. I am Guru Scouting MMA, one half of an awesome podcast at ChronicCombat Conversations, at ChronicCombat. It's awesome. I got an incredible co-host at TB Scouting MMA. You can follow us at both places, Twitter Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. But, man, I'm so freaking excited to be here. What a unique show you've designed here. It really kind of feels like a little bit of like the Cappers Olympics in terms of like, I don't know, just different mental exercises and different ways you can test and push yourself in terms of a way you can gamble any card for any reason. So this was definitely a cool little exercise. And I can't wait to do the podcast, too. I mean, my God.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We were talking before we went live here, and Guru mentioned that, in order to prepare for this show, you kind of have to do like a little bit of additional research and a little bit of a different kind of research. It kind of forces you to look at some things in a way that you might not be. So, and that's always good, like I find that I reach a point in the week where I think that I'm done, like I've got my bets figured out here or whatever, but then I'll keep pulling up the odds and being like, well, what haven't I thought about yet? Well, how haven't I approached this so far? And like just trying to find different angles. And this forces you to sit down and kind of look through. If nothing else, you at least spend some time looking through some things more carefully that you might have otherwise glossed over. So, try to find some. The joke I make about this is like, earlier in the week, most of the shows you're watching are like the full card breakdowns, and people are picking the best money line spots and that kind of thing. So you get the smart bets out of the way. And now on this show, we dig through all the dumb bets and we see if we can find smart ones in there a little bit. It's the diamond in the rough sort of thing. Like, here's a bunch of dumb, big money bets. Let's see if some of them can actually hit.
Damn, I like that. That's an interesting thought. I don't know if I dug as deep into the crazy well in terms of like huge numbers, but I think I tried to go with things that I are plus money, which we all love. My co-host always busts my balls for being a little whore for the plus money, and just wanted to cash tickets, because to me there's nothing better than seeing green in the DraftKings account, in the FanDuel account, in that betting account. I don't know, Bet Online, whatever you guys are using. Lou, bet you, man. Love you, man. Super yep. A cat. Yeah, man. that is me. Yeah, Lou Betcha, another super supportive guy. Daz, one of those other supportive guys. I heard you mention him earlier. Awesome dudes.
Heck yeah. And yeah, I think it's a lot of the times the guests that I bring on are like, oh, I didn't go like super big numbers on the props. And I'm like, man, that's okay. Like I said before, I'm trying to like stop doing that, because I've just been like, looks really cool when all your props are like plus 1,000. And then the week after it's like, it might have looked cool, but I didn't win any of them, So right. I gotta quit doing that. So listen, I think it's good.
Listen, shout out a guy like Clint, diehard MMA, like he's killing it, and his videos are hilarious, and he's winning. Yeah, baby, yeah, and it's the green after the green after the, and when you hit your train of thought like that, and it's, what did he hit last week? Matthews by knockout in round 2. Like when you get each step of the way and you sprinkle each step of the way, like there's like, to your point, that's fucking fun. But I've never been the one to be able to bet like that. That's fortune teller shit. I love it. It's so cool. But I'm not a fortune teller.
Yeah, I'm not really either, but I do love, I feel like every card I've got a few of those like round 3 sprinkles and things like that. I like to at least try to do some of that kind of stuff. And also, like you mentioned Clint, like in a way, I don't want to say that I style myself after Clint, but in a way, like that's
inspired by him.
That's the niche that I'm trying to meet. Like, I'm not in any way trying to be like the sharpest capper out there. Like a lot of times in my videos, I say like, I am not a professional gambler, nor am I any kind of gambling expert. Right. I'm just a guy who loves MMA. I like to bet on fights. I like to talk about betting on fights. Like, I'm not, I actually think it's weird. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this earlier today. I think it's weird when people like argue about their opinion on like who's going to win a fight or their take on a fight. Like some people, right. I mean, just like literally like violently argue about it. And I'm like, I will let you know what my thoughts are. And if you disagree, I'm like, that's fine. Like, it hasn't happened yet. It's in the future. We'll find out. Like, I'm not going to argue about it. Who cares?
Definitely not. Well, honestly, what you just described is kind of the foundation of how Chronic Combat conversations got inspired, right? So many different shows. Okay, it's a full card betting podcast. Okay, but you're just going to come, you're going to present your information. And that's that. The whole idea of my show, the Chronic Combat Conversations, is exactly that, opening up that forum. Okay, we both come here with some information, but you know what? You said this about his takedown defense and mentioned this about the striking, and I just kind of want to counter, and I just want to see what you think. What do you think that this would, and just opening up that whole forum, because like you said, we're not professional gamblers. We're working on becoming professional handicappers in terms of, what we see in terms of fights. And that's what we're doing. We love talking fights. So why not open up that dialogue? So that's just a little plug for my show at Chronic Combat on Twitter, at Chronic Combat Conversations on Instagram. But Erik's going to be a guest for like 1,000%. So we're gonna after this show ends, we're gonna get something on the books.
Awesome. I think that's a great way to parlay
get into the show.
Into the show. Yeah, because like that's really that's what I see this show being about, is like I'm about the entertainment aspect. I'm not the sharpest gambler out there. I'm not trying to be. I'm not like, hey, guys, you should really be listening to my picks because I'm a fantastic capper. I'm just trying to have fun. And this show is about having fun. So let's do it.
100%.
All right, so we'll start the show off with the 2-leg parlay. Do you want to start? Do you want to start it off, or do you want me to start it off, or what do you think?
You just show me how it's done real quick, and then maybe
Okay.
I'll add in for the second leg or the
Cool.
second tier.
Yeah, cool. I'll kick it off. So for my 2-leg parlay, I try to treat it a little bit like, I mean, I feel like everybody in the community knows what the PRP is now, the Pogie Raw Parlay. Shout out to Paul and Cody from the Dogger Pass podcast. I've been listening to them since way back when it was Bookie Beatdown, if y'all remember that.
Guys.
But
love those guys.
yeah, so I sort of treat this like that. So for the 2-leg parlay, what I try to do is get even money or close to even money so that you could bet a little more on that and cover the rest of it if you don't hit. But so what I did for my 2-leg parlay, my first leg, I went with Calvin Kattar at -225. I do like him to win there. Obviously, Emmett's dangerous, but I think Emmett would pretty much need the finish to win that fight. I think Calvin's the better boxer. I think he's going to put out more volume. He's very tough. He's very hard to finish. And then for my second leg, I went with Kyle Daukaus at -240. I'm not in love with that number, but I think he's a better fighter than Dolidze all around. He's just the better MMA fighter of the two. I think he's the better striker, and he's getting better all the time. I think we're seeing Kyle Daukaus become a better and better fighter each time we're out there. So I just kind of trust him more. And putting those two together, Kattar and Daukaus, I came out to +104. So we were able to get that little bit of plus money there.
Kattar and Daukaus. Okay. Yeah, man. That's so tough. The main event specifically. Yes, we did have Dan Levy last night.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Best fight picks. Yeah, that was a returning guest. He's awesome, man. Such a great guy. Make sure you check out. He dropped his podcast Half the Battle earlier today. Make sure you guys check that out as well. Yeah. Damn. I've been so stuck on that fight all week. I am definitely a huge fan of both guys, honestly, but Josh Emmett, I'm a huge fanboy of. So I haven't been able to pull the trigger on that fight really at all yet. Excited to see weigh-ins and face-offs tomorrow. So for my two-tier first start, right? So I should have maybe reached a little closer to get to that plus money thing.
That's okay.
I try to do that next time. That's a good thought, though. I really do like that idea. We started with there he is. There's my boy, ChronicCombat. That's the pod. And yep, there it is. So we started with Kevin Holland. So I really like Kevin Holland's, reach and power advantage, and he should be able to match the inevitable volume of means. And what's the biggest problem with Kevin Holland, right? It's obvious. It's his takedown defense. But when you look at somebody like Tim Means, yes, can he use takedowns? Sure. But is that a regular part of his game? Is he prepared to start chaining takedowns together if Holland does get up? Because, you look at somebody like, okay, Marvin Toria took him down 14 times or something. Right. That's true. It's also another 15 pounds. But to get taken down 14 times, you got to stand up 13. He's going to continue to fight back to get to the feet. So, and then if you're on the feet with Kevin Holland, who's going to have a major reach advantage, I think he gets it done. And then of course we know that Kevin Holland has that kind of knack for, like Dan Levy put it last night, that knack for magic, that knack to kind of to knock out Jacare from his knees, which literally broke my heart, by the way. And the second leg of that is I have Cody Stamann at a ridiculous -500. It's self-explanatory. Honestly, like Cody Stamann is so good all around, and we broke it down on my show last night at ChronicCombat. The numbers. Cody Stamann has better striking numbers than the glorified striker that is Eddie Wineland, and he's kind of a shell of himself at this point. I was shocked to see that he got a new 4-fight deal. It's super interesting. I just don't know, other than a flash knockout, and Stamann's chin has shown himself to be ironclad. Other than, I guess, out of his last fight, I mean, Jesus Christ, that guy's so good. Nurmagomedov is such a beast. So, I think the UFC is kind of giving him one here. So put those together. I use DraftKings for this. Put them together. We're at a lofty -161.
Yeah, those are solid picks. I mean, those guys are at the numbers they're at for a reason, obviously, right? Yeah, I really don't have much to add. Kevin Holland has almost every advantage that you can think of in that fight besides experience. You know, he's got the age, he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the athleticism. Well, the only advantage he doesn't have are experience and potentially fight IQ, I guess. But yeah, like I agree. And Cody Stamann, yeah, like he's the only real path to victory for Eddie Wineland there would be a knockout, and I don't think Cody Stamann's ever been knocked out.
Channeling the WEC days, like he's gonna have to pull it back to like 2009. It's not. I don't. Yeah, it's not really. I don't really see it happening. But hey, we've seen fucking crazier things in MMA. But that's why we fucking watch. We love this shit. If you would have told me that Glover was gonna be submitted with 30 seconds left, I would have told you that you're probably smoking something. But you know. Whatever.
Did you see that clip that Brady shared? He was just joking, but I don't even know which show it was on because Brady and Weezy host a million shows. But Brady said he actually brought up
I think I did see that
by a sub in round 5, and it was at like plus 6,000 or something.
Yeah. I think I actually did see it because you guys you guys love to bring that up. It's so funny. That's why I love
crazy.
Watching you guys.
Yep.
Oh man.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to the 4-legger.
Yeah.
So I had Kattar and Duckhouse for my 2-legger.
Yep.
I went like a tiny bit riskier right off the bat here to try to get a better number. I went with Damir Ismagulov at minus 160.
Okay.
You know, obviously, Guram Kutataladze, he's dangerous. I think he's the more dangerous fighter of the two. But sort of like what I said with Kattar and Emmett, like this is one of those spots where I feel like if Guram is not able to find that moment where he gets the finish, I just think Damir is, I think he's the better technical striker. I think he has the better output. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention, I just mentioned this on a show earlier today, but while I was doing the tape for this fight, I noticed that Guram had like long spells where he didn't throw anything, like really, really long spells where he didn't throw any strikes at all. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to back it up and time this. And I don't know if this was even the longest gap in the fight or not. It was just when I happened to notice it. So I backed it up and timed it. He didn't throw a single strike for 35 seconds at one point in the fight. That's a really long time to throw a strike.
In the Gamrot fight?
I think so. Yep. I think so.
Interesting.
And so yeah, I was just like, wow, okay. So I just think that if Guram's not able to, to land the big kill shot here, I think Damir's probably gonna have the volume on him. You know, Damir could potentially look to use his wrestling here. I don't know if he will or not, but even if he doesn't, like I think he's gonna be the better boxer here. And then I did go with Kevin Holland as well, and I don't really have much to add. We've kind of already talked about Holland, and then we end up with Kattar, Duckhouse, Ismagulov, and Holland come out to plus 351.
Yeah, see, like you're so dicey, but at the same time, it's one of those parlays where you look back a month later and you're like, yeah, that cashed easy. It was no problem. It's interesting. You know, I kind of was kind of a little sketched on that Damir Ismagulov fight. I kind of was leaning that way a little bit. He just looks so good everywhere. But you know, my buddy TB is all over Kutataladze, man, and it's hard to, you know, and it's honestly hard to hate somebody clearly of that skill level at dog odds. Like, how could you hate that kind of bet? So, another really, really tough fight, which is why I kind of left also that one out of these next 2 legs that I have here. And again, similarly, like, about kind of going back to your starter with the main event, like I don't touch the main event yet here either. Yeah, I don't know. It's Damir. It could be Damir, man. He looks so good, and Kutataladze is just so I don't know, just unorthodox. It's gonna be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Adrian Yanez, man, ChronicCombat's own. Check out our show, the YouTube channel. We have an interview with him, about a 30-minute interview, and then we broke down some fights with him. It was super awesome. He was so gracious with his time. Such a nice dude. But to me, that made me even more diligent and sketched out because I did not want to have a bias here. And the line, you know, was already kind of like had you spooked because he's a fan favorite at this point. He's an awesome dude. But after some really deep research, because Tony Kelly is an extremely well-rounded mixed martial artist. He can do it all. I just think that Giannis's patient counter style, right, and Tony Kelly's striking defense, 40%. So as much as we want to talk about Randy Costa teeing off on Adrian, and maybe him getting hit a little bit more, and Davy Grant, who's an awesome striker, right? His striking defense is still a lot higher than Tony Kelly's, and again, he hits more frequently and harder. And as much as Kelly can wrestle, it's not. I don't know how much top control he's going to have. I don't know that he can rely on that for 15 minutes to win a decision. So I really like Adrian Yanez's pressure and power to kind of to take over. And one of the things, and this is kind of what we were talking about to start off the show, or maybe was it off air? Stupid me, I don't even remember. But it's just like, no, it was on there. It was on there. But it's just like, so when you start capping these fights, right, and you start kind of see a trend, I want to fade the narrative here in terms of we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, you kind of start to see a trajectory of how you see a fight going. So we'll talk about that later. And then the next leg of that is Hakara Ramos, man. Minus 300. Another steep price on a very interesting card here where you have no real favorites like at minus 160 or something. Like everybody's minus 200 and up. I don't know where the threat is for Chavez. Like Dan Levy awesomely highlighted on the show yesterday. Leg kicks from Chavez. Okay, cool. Everybody, has to deal with leg kicks at some point. This is an MMA fight, but he's got him covered on the volume in the grappling department. Chavez has a much smaller frame, right? And even though he's 26, although the downside is his smaller frame. Sorry. Obviously, Ramos is a little bit smaller. That is the thing. But he's 26, facing a guy that's 35 on an 11-month layoff, right? So I just think that in the grappling, striking, power, volume, all around dangerousness, he's minus 300 for a reason, and I think he gets it done. So on my kind of chalky 4-legger here, Holland, Stamen at minus 161, and you add Yanez at minus 290 and Ramos at minus 300, we're at plus money at plus 185. So, a little almost a little 2-for-1 special.
Nice. I like those picks a lot. I really have nothing to add there. I agree with all the points that you made. One thing I want to mention is, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think, some people have been mentioning the possibility of Tony Kelly wrestling here. And, you mentioned that, and this is something I say in my videos all the time, is that we don't want to bet on what a fighter can do. We want to bet on what a fighter will do, kind of thing. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Tony Kelly has completed a takedown in the UFC. And I don't think Yanez has been taken down in the UFC, unless I'm mixing this up with another fight in my head, because I know that one of the fights, the one guy did not have any takedowns and one guy had never been taken down. And I think it was this one.
If you give me one moment, I can actually pull that up. Maybe you do a little stalling or something. I can actually.
Yeah. But yeah, I like your picks. I like the way you're approaching this, because it was like I was talking about, that I'm trying to get myself to make safer picks. Like, I'm going to have a sexier number, but your parlays are going to win. That's the difference.
I hope so. Listen, we put a lot of thought into, really hoping that these hit, man, because I wanted to come on this show and not, if my first leg goes down, I'm going to feel like a fool, man. That would not be cute. So I definitely am trying to cash some tickets here. It's super, super important to me.
Your co-host says we're correct about I think he's talking about the takedown thing there. I think Tony Kelly has only attempted one takedown, if I'm not mistaken, and he didn't get it. And Yanez, yeah, I'm pretty sure. He says we're right.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm pulling it up as well. But let's do the next one, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see, where did we end up here? We're moving on to the 6-leg parlay. So to recap again, I had Kattar, Daukaus, Ismagulov, and Holland. And I'm going with another. Well, actually, both of the legs I added for the 6-legger here, I'm going a little bit riskier. I went with RoboCop at minus 175. And, after I did the tape, I really liked RoboCop in this spot. And then I found out that he's potentially coming in on late notice. I didn't realize that, but I heard that he's only coming in on like a couple weeks notice here, which does concern me a little bit because we know that he's a guy who can slow down. And we know that Julian Marquez is a guy who can just, after getting a pep talk from his corner, can just decide in round 3 that he's just going to go ape shit and make it happen. So there are some concerns there, but generally speaking, though, I think RoboCop is the better fighter everywhere. He's a great grappler who frustratingly chooses not to grapple sometimes, which I don't love. But he's got good power on the feet as well. I'm even kind of leaning toward thinking that RoboCop might be able to find Marquez's back at some point and find the neck. That's kind of what I'm leaning toward. But this is definitely one of those spots where I would probably keep my trigger finger on the live bet button, because we could, if we start to see signs of fatigue in Rodriguez and signs of it's ape shit time in Julian Marquez, things could go south real quick. But and then for my 6th leg, man, I went back and forth on this. I typed his name in here and then I took it out. And then I typed it in again and I was like, I don't know. Like, I've been trying to tell myself I'm going to make safer picks instead of trying to get the better number, but I went with it. I went with Court McGee at -115.
Okay.
It's a little bit riskier here, but Court is he's so tough. He's so gritty. He's so well-rounded. I feel like Wells would probably have to finish him. And Court hasn't been finished in a long, long time. He's really tough to finish. And I think that, if Court is able to sort of hang on through the early going when things are going to be especially dangerous, I think Wells will start to slow down and Court will put on his tough, grindy veteran hat. And we might be able to, we might start to see Court take over from there. So we end up at plus 1225 with those 6.
Wow. Yeah, that's a hefty price. That's steep. Yeah, I don't love Gregory Rodriguez for a bunch of reasons. A lot of them you mentioned, honestly. One of which you didn't is his fight IQ, right? And you kind of do touch on it in the fact that he frustratingly doesn't go for takedowns enough. Exactly. Like, it's like, what are we doing? Like, where is the fight IQ? Like, why are you going toe-to-toe with Armin Petrosyan there in a kickboxing match? Like, take him down, submit him, like, go for it. And then and where I've been going back and forth on this fight, I'm not sure I've settled yet, but, Marquez is a great grappler in his own right. Like, you're going to have to really, really hurt him on the feet to submit him. And then we kind of see him staggered on the feet by, the likes of whatever, Mackie Patolo. And then they couldn't get the sub or anything, finish him either. He loves to snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat, man. And Gregory Rodriguez would love nothing more than to give it to him. Shout out TB. It's something I mentioned on the show. Before we even started scouting this week, he was looking at the fights as we usually do. And he goes, I think I want to be on Gregory Rodriguez, but I feel like he's just going to win right up until he loses. And it's like, and then we did the tape and it's kind of like the same fucking thought. It's like,
yep.
So, very, very tough. And then when you went with Court McGee, man, like, I love Court McGee here. Again, pre-tape, I almost thought I was going to be on Wells. But the line has kind of followed my inevitable thought and exactly like you said, they're testing to see if somebody can finish Court McGee. Because if not, how much cardio does Jeremiah Wells has? To me, he's totally finish dependent. So what happens after that 6-minute mark? Does Court McGee start reversing positions in the clinch and start getting some takedowns? Like, he very well could. He also could very well finally get flattened. But then you want to say that Court McGee's old. Oh, we'll hold the phone. Court McGee's 37, Jeremiah Wells 35. So
right.
All of a sudden your young prospect, not actually young, he's just new. Okay, kind of changes things. Jeremiah Wells, really wants to get active and get out there because he doesn't have much time. Court McGee has done it all, seen it all. I think he's more picking his positions. So all that being said, I like it, man. You definitely could that big ticket because you end up 3 times higher than where I end up in terms of your staggered value here. So my next leg is one of your first in Mr. Dawkins. Kyle should have the better volume, the crisper boxing. He's struggled to put stamps on fights, but so does Roman Delids. And they both kind of rely on who he personally relies on more clinch and definitely the leg lock game. And you're not going to submit the Darce Knight. So I honestly think, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but yeah, maybe a little hint. But I kind of like that fight that maybe go the distance or something like that. So yeah, I like Dawkins to inevitably win a decision, which you could bet Dawkins by decision, and that's not a bad prop either. So whatever, Dawkins minus 235, leg 5 will take it. And then I feel like my sketchiest leg, because I wasn't sure what to put, and it's very interesting. I didn't put any dog plays here or anything like that. We end up on Jasmine Jasdavicius. Jasdavicius. I don't even, who cares? Jasdavicius. I'm close. Silva she has good BJJ, but it's not necessarily like incredibly elite. She's just looking for arm bars, right? That's her thing. And she's got a relatively weak schedule of opponents. She's now 25. She hasn't fought since she's 22. She won the Jungle Fights flyweight title. Like, that's cool. But again, we haven't seen you in 3 years. I assume she's living in the gym. I'm sure she's made improvements. But JJ has the wrestling, the background, the size advantage, the experience that I think she's going to need here. And I honestly just think that she lays on top of her and grinds her out to 30-27, maybe a 29-28 somewhere, but like should basically grind her out to a decision. At minus 240, you add up all these beautiful legs together and you get it plus 476, which, again, a little chalky, but man, I'd take it. I'd take it. I guess Terrence would too. Would you take it? I think he'd take it.
I love that. Yeah, I agree with everything you said about Jasmine Jasudavicius there. Like, I think that, I mean, it feels a little hyperbolic maybe, but I think she's pretty much going to be able to get takedowns at will. I mean, I think she's bigger. She's probably stronger. She's the better wrestler. Silva's much quicker on the feet. When it's on the feet, I think Jasmine could have issues for sure. But I think Jasmine's going to be able to take her down. She's going to be able to hang out in top position. And yeah, I think the only way that I can see Silva winning this fight is just that slippery armbar, the good old armbar from guard, like you said. Yeah, that's really about the only way that I can see her making that happen. So
speaking of which, on DraftKings, just to shout it out, maybe a subtle plug for the show, because hey, if you like the play, if you like Silva by finish or you like Silva in this fight, why not go to DraftKings, bet Silva, decision no bet, right? So finish only on Silva at plus 150. Like, you're protected if it goes to decision, which I think that's how Jasmine wins. And if you get that finish, you're set. And then plus 600 on her by submission is like, that's like silly, because that's her way to win.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. I like that plus 150, that play there. I don't know if I have access to that one or not, but I do. I like that. I do like that one.
Awesome. Happy to throw it out.
Heck yeah. Well, let's go ahead and we let's have Silva and Sub. Nice. Hiya, Monk. I love I love when, like, I mean, I've been doing this show for like 11 or 12 weeks now or something like that. And the first couple of weeks, it was like maybe one person in the chat and whatever. And now I've got like, kind of a solid group of dudes that are showing up, and they kind of know each other. And it's the dudes that kind of show up in everybody's chats. And it's just kind of fun to have every Thursday night I get to hang out with Lou and Monk and Daz and the boys. And yeah. So yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely appreciate those boys. They're always they're the lifeblood, man. It's why we do it. Like, I always felt that it wasn't about the big bets. It wasn't about even being successful. I just wanted to be respected by the peers and do the best work that I could do. And have it again, like, dude, like right on cue, man. Having somebody like Brady pop in, DFS by the numbers, like, just having the respect of my peers, man. It means the world. So, and you're absolutely one of them too. So,
absolutely. And I for a long time, until I actually started doing this content creation thing myself, that I was that guy. I was hanging out in the chat of all the shows and stuff. Like, this was my thing, and now I'm on the other side of it. But yeah, weirdly enough. Awesome. Let's go ahead and move into the prop portion of the show. You ready to get down on some props, Guru?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and So what we're gonna do is
I kind of gave away the first one for me already.
Oh, that's okay. That ends up happening a lot. Yeah, no, that ends up happening a lot where we sort of in the first part of the show end up giving away one of the props. I was actually really careful. This is a little bit of a hint. Maybe I was careful not to give away one of my props. I sort of stepped around it and made it sound like something I wasn't interested in. But anyway, all right. So we're gonna each do 6 props. We're going to start with the one that has the lowest payout, and then we're going to build our way up to potentially something crazy. So my first one, I went with, and I just grabbed the, what I did was I just went on Best Fight Odds and grabbed like the best odd for each of these, basically. I bet my props on Bet Online because I'm not able to use DraftKings or FanDuel. So I usually give the Bet Online numbers, which are way lower. But yeah I'm not going to give the Bet Online numbers this time because it sounds more impressive if I don't. So first one.
Those offshore numbers, man, those lines are crazy.
Yeah, like sometimes I look at my my track record on betmma.tips and I'm like, man, I'm doing really well, but how much better would I be doing if I wasn't betting those line numbers?
That's funny. Anyway, yeah, man, you get like 50 cents of value sometimes. And just so, by the way, anybody that follows Erik Bet Fights on BetMMA Tips, make sure you follow at ChronicCombat on BetMMA Tips as well, a place where we play all our picks. And as soon as we're official with them, they go on BetMMA picks even before the show. So we do the show every Wednesday, but we could have a BetMMA pick the week before. So just always stay tuned with our BetMMA.
Nice.
But yeah, seriously. But you know it. I mean, those lines are they're awesome. But being out here in Jersey, we have lots of the more legal sportsbook. I know Nevada's had a few. You guys have Superbooks and you guys have a few, right? Circa one? Circa's I know, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I use William Hill, and William Hill does have a lot of times I find better numbers on William Hill. You know how like on Best Fight Odds it highlights the best number. A lot of times I'm able to get a number on William Hill that's even better than any of the ones highlighted on there. So that's kind of cool. So even though I get crappy odds on Bet Online, I get pretty good odds on William Hill. So maybe it evens out. I don't know. But
if you're not going to drop your odds, should I not drop mine, or should I still drop mine? Like,
oh yeah, I'm gonna do. I just keep kind of going off on tangents here, but yeah.
No, I'm obviously tangenting too, and it's not my show. I'm allowed to tangent on my show. I probably shouldn't be tangenting on yours.
Oh, absolutely. No, this show is just hanging out. It's basically
I love
it. It's a party. All right, so I'll stop babbling and actually give my first prop. So my first one is plus 330. I went with Joaquin Buckley by KO TKO. My breakdown for this fight is pretty binary.
Hang on. I'm sorry. Hang on. That's your lowest one?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I go pretty crazy. I used to start at like plus 500, plus 600. And then I was like, yeah. So like I said, I was trying to stop doing this, but I'm still doing it a little bit more than I should. Yeah.
God. That's so funny. I love
it. But that's also why.
So
that's also why at the recap I said like I didn't hit anything last week. So
I'm gonna mute my mic so I can't interrupt you anymore.
All good. But so my breakdown for this fight is fairly binary. If Duraev can get the takedowns consistently, I think Duraev probably wins this fight and probably inside the distance. If he can't, though, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He is a guy that is hittable. I think he's been finished by strikes in all 3 of his losses. So, potentially chin issues. But even if we don't chalk that up to chin issues, we know he can be finished, and Joaquin Buckley is not the kind of guy that you want to get hit by. So I think there's some value there in Joaquin Buckley by KO TKO at plus 330. I don't always play all of the bets that I give out on this show, but I usually try to tell you which ones I am going to play. I haven't played that one yet, but that's one that I think I am probably going to put a little sprinkle on.
We love that. I think that might even be on our BetMMA page already. I know we love that on the show. We love the fight doesn't go the distance. I kind of leaned on the Buckley side personally. But yeah, it's super, super interesting fight, and I love that pick.
What did you have for your first one?
Oh, I should probably do that, right?
Yep, we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so that's why we didn't do it as I almost had that fight just not to go the distance as a straight play, but that's crazy at minus 190. So obviously again, I'm plus 310 is that's really steep, man. That's a good one. So I started way lower. I'm at minus 120 on FanDuel for the Daukaus Delids fight. Fight goes the distance. Both guys have never been finished in the UFC, and I don't think either guy has a distinct ability, like a finishing ability to finish the other one. Like they're gonna play on the ground or clinch each other. Like nobody has this crazy striking power or this one incredible submission that the other guy can't defend or something. I think they're gonna go to the distance. So minus 120 fight goes the distance. And again, like I was kind of alluding to, if you like my Dawkins breakdown, you can get Dawkins by decision at plus 175. Kind of like a little A, what is that? Subsection A. So yeah, that's my first one.
I like that pick, and I like that even though we didn't talk about this or anything, I like that you sort of instinctually understood that your job as the host is to give the reasonable picks during the prop portion here. That's kind of what, because I've had other people come on and do that same thing. They're like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to start at like plus 400. And I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to do anything. You just pick the props that you like. I just get a little stupid with it. So it's nice because that means we probably won't be crossing over each other too terribly much. So we'll have some different things going on. So that's
definitely.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to move on to my second prop.
Let's hear it.
This one is plus. We're sitting at plus 600. It was available at like plus 800 not long ago, but it's around plus 600 now. And that prop is Tony Kelly by Wait, what?
Tony Kelly! Yeah, Tony Kelly. Oh, I see Guru. I see Erik. Oh, yeah, Tony Kelly. I have him by split decision. Tony Kelly plus 2,200 odds with decision. It's the Texas judging. Texas judging is crappy, and I don't put this conspiracy not just because Miss Elizabeth over there told me to, but all the way up to the president of the WWF. Check Tony says it's a conspiracy. Yeah, Tony Kelly gonna win the first round. Adrian Yanez, very, very slow starter. Yeah, very slow. Yeah, and then the 2 rounds you're giving me, Tony Kelly made good ground dealer in a Texas crowd. We're Texas judging. Texas crowds are terrible really judging. Guru, you need to shut your mouth. Because I am the cream of the crop. Oh, yeah. North is east, south is also south. And Tony Kelly by split decision plus 2,200. Yeah. You're looking at the sweet and sour. Yeah, I know you are, Erik. I see your spiky hair. Yeah, you and your glasses. Yeah, you're looking at Miss Elizabeth. Take your leering eyes off Miss Elizabeth. Tony Kelly split decision in a fight that goes 9 out of 10 times decision with crazy judging. You're telling me you're giving Tony Kelly? Yeah. Wow. Freak out.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. That was incredible.
I don't know what to tell you, folks. That was yikes. That's the first time we've been bombed in the middle of the show like that. Tony Kelly by split decision. What did he say? Plus 2,200, plus 2,400, something like that. Unbelievable. I was just going to give out Tony Kelly by decision at plus 600, but yeah, you'd be a fool.
That's
to not take the split, I guess.
Well, that's so funny. What's even? I guess Macho Man Randy Savage is falling on some hard times or something. I thought he'd be doing cameos or something. Instead, he's bombing our chat. Jeez Louise. It's honestly,
I'm probably going to get a bill for that or something. I don't.
Yeah, probably. You got. I mean, we have to send a donation his way or something. He's falling on some tough times. Sheesh. But it's super funny. I guess all 3 of us instinctually had a play on this. My play is on this fight as well. How crazy is that? So I got the Yanez Kelly fight in general to go the distance. So it totally plays up with Macho Man to go the distance at plus 114 on FanDuel. Like, let's go. Kelly's never been KO'd, and Yanez is always in these close fights, and Kelly's going to be on the front foot. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be ready to bang. Like, and honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure or even this narrative that Yanez is about to knock him out for all the Brazilians. Like chill. And honestly, to Macho Man's point, it could very well be a split, especially because of those Texas judges. But let's be real. Adrian's from Texas. He's going to get the nod.
I like it. Yeah. That's one of those spots where God, I don't think I have access to the split. I don't think I have a book that has that, but yeah, I would have to take it because I do feel like, I do favor Giannis to win here. I understand why he's favored, but he was at like minus 350 or something. The line has gotten a little better since then, but I do think this fight could play out more closely than the odds are suggesting. And I definitely don't mind. I don't mind a shot on Tony Kelly by decision here, or that split decision if you've got access to it.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
DraftKings has it at like plus 600 there. So
Nice.
Not too bad.
We Nevadans, we don't get to use DraftKings or FanDuel.
They gotta get out there, but they're probably blocked out there because the other sports books definitely don't want them.
Well, I assumed it's because the daily fantasy stuff is not allowed here. So I've assumed it's because the books that have that they just don't allow them altogether. I don't really know for sure, but anyway, enough about that.
Yeah, why don't they allow daily sports? What is that about?
I don't know if it's just a way to, because it's not bringing in money, because it's not based here. They don't want you playing games that aren't putting money into, that's my guess anyway.
Yeah, it's always lining somebody's pocket. 100%. Let's not get to do. I think we'd have a beer, man, or 3. Like, we'd have a good time, man. We'd be good friends. This is cool.
Hell yeah.
Just chat fights forever. This is funny. All right, let's get to your picks, man.
All right,
stop taking so long.
Let's roll into number 3. Number 3, I got at plus 700. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I think Jazz Davicius is going to get takedowns. I think she's going to have top control. And at plus 700, I'm willing to take a shot on Natalia Silva getting that armbar from guard. I believe, like you said, it was against pretty low-level competition, but I believe 5 of Natalia Silva's last 7 wins are by armbar. So plus 700. This is one that I did sprinkle already. I put 0.2 of a unit on it at plus 700. So let's go Natalia Silva. Throw those hips up there, find that armbar, and get Jasmine out of there. Let's do it.
Boo. Listen, it definitely can happen, though. It's super live to happen. So I'll be watching with an eagle eye during that fight for sure. And I actually kind of forgot to mention my second prop had like a subsection to that as well. Since I love that fight to go the distance, you could also get Adrian Yanez in round 3 or decision plus 120. So
nice.
If he does get that finish, I think it's late. More often than not, I think he wins a decision. So you get that at plus money too on a guy that's like minus 300. But
I just want to add that I did bet Kay Hansen for your co-host here. I bet Kay Hansen in that fight as well. So,
oof, God, yeah, I hated that. That made me so sad. It's a bad memory. So let's make some good memories. My third prop here is Win versus Hawes, fight to go the distance. All right. Hawes has a really good Win has a good chin, but can succumb to the high pace, and Hawes has the good attributes and bad chin and the cardio. So, and bad cardio, honestly. So honestly, it could just be a sloppy clinch fest. And for as much as it's gonna, because you're not gonna, if you're Deron Win, you're not gonna want to stand at range with Hawes until a little bit later in the fight. So yeah, you're gonna need to grind him out, and unless you're Megatron and you're getting that quick spark, which he didn't even get that quick spark last fight, right? He's going. He's having a great fucking first round, and then Chris Curtis pummels him. Like, Deron Win is tough. He looks like he's in much better shape than he's been. He definitely needs to be, because his last fight was at catch weight. But to me, Hawes and Antonio Arroyo are like basically the same fighter, except Hawes is, the next step up. He's better than Arroyo. So I just like the fight to go the distance, because I think Hawes needs a finish.
Nice. I like that. And one prop this isn't one of my official props for the show here, but one that I just noticed earlier today is Deron Win can be had for decision at like plus 400, plus 500 range. And yes. So, if you do think this fight is going to go the distance, and if you do think it potentially plays out closely, that's not a bad look potentially right there.
Not at all.
I
also just thought it was so weird. Like,
that they're sneaking Phil Hawes in and again as a minus 300 after he just was a minus 300 versus Chris Curtis and didn't get the job done.
Right.
They're like, I know we just sold you this bill of goods, but this time it's different.
Right.
Okay.
I love it. Hey, how's it going, Prince of Mischief? Good to have you in here too.
Love that.
All right, so for my fourth, and this is a bet that I've made before. This fight was booked another time, and I made this same bet. Fight came up again. I made the bet again. If it gets canceled and moved to a different card, I'm going to make the bet again. At plus 1,000, I wasn't able to get it at plus 1,000. I got it at plus 700 because of the bet online thing. But Joe Lozon by KO in round 1.
Love it.
I think
Go on.
that is an outcome that is much more likely than those numbers would suggest. You know, I mean, the classic breakdown here being Cerrone's a slow starter, Lozon's a fast starter. And, you know, we've definitely seen situations. I mean, look no further than the Conor fight where, you know, Cerrone's one of those guys who you can get him out of there before he even kind of knows he's in a fight, you know, like he's kind of just getting comfortable, getting loose. And if you come out there with that attitude of like, I'm gonna get you out the door before you kind of even realize what I'm doing, you know. And Lozon's exactly the kind of guy who's going to look to do that. So I think an interesting way to approach this fight is bet that KO in round 1 prop, and then keep an eye on the live line because I think it teeters more and more towards Cerrone the longer the fight goes if he doesn't find that round 1 KO. So that's kind of how I'm going to be looking at it.
I'll be a man of little words this time. I full-heartedly agree. That
Nice.
was excellent. That was great. So my fourth prop would be McGee round 3 or decision, right? We kind of talked about this a little bit in the before. So you can get McGee round 3 or decision plus 155, right? So McGee, to me, right, is a big step up for Wells, who beat the shell of Warley Alves and Blood Diamond. Okay, these guys are not grappling with the likes of Court McGee. They're not even holding his fucking shorts, man. It's just not. It's apples and oranges in the grappling department. So, as you also greatly highlighted, Wells is, you know, round 1 or bust. So like maybe early round 2, right? But like that's it. So, and we've also seen the way he gets takedowns. It's muscle. He's using all muscle. It's not even like perfect technique that he's using, right? Like what DC or Khabib would be trying to teach you. He's muscling through this shit. So you see somebody like McGee who's seen all this before, and if he can, like you said, you take some of the sting off his punches, let McGee start to wear on him. Maybe he even gets it. Like maybe he even drowns him. Maybe he even gets a finish in round 3. But I would think more likely he wins a 29-28 decision after dropping round 1, and we can get that at plus 155.
Dude, I love that. You said it was the round 3 or decision.
Yeah,
Are both included? I think that's a perfect play. I think that's perfect. Yeah, I like that a lot.
yeah. I mean, it's perfect until Wells floors him 3 minutes.
Right, yeah.
But it's perfect. It should be great.
Well, all you got to do is bet that, and then hedge with a little bit of a sprinkle on Jeremiah Wells by KO or something like that, and you're
right. And that's when he
you're
wins by
covered, right?
sub, or that's
right.
Dude, we could go a million ways. I love this sport, but it is the most ridiculously volatile. It is. It's so funny in that respect.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, I like that play. I like that play a lot. I think this is really good.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Shout out ChronicCombat. Shout out at TB Scouting MMA, man. Yeah, just and shout out
we
you.
got a rad group hanging out in here. Yeah, man, I really appreciate it. Where was I at? Number 5. All right, I'm jumping up to some crazy numbers now. I was already at some pretty crazy numbers, but we're getting wild here.
Ooh, Damian Jackson versus Pat Sabatini.
For real?
Yeah.
I cashed my biggest money line bet of all time on Damian Jackson's last
I know.
fight.
I saw when you played it, the whole graphic, all of it.
Crazy.
I'd be peeping on Twitter, man. I saw. I know these things.
I was sweating a little bit in round 3. I was yelling a lot in round 3. My voice was hoarse, but we got there.
Dan Argueta is a tough SOB, especially coming off that he had just fought for the title in LFA, whatever, 3 weeks before.
3 weeks before, yeah.
I
think it was,
he's a fucking savage, but you know, no match for him in the grappling department.
All right, so for number 5, we're jumping all the way up. So number 4 was Lozon by KO in round 1 at plus 1,000. We're jumping all the way up to plus 2,500.
What the?
Plus
Have you hit any of these yet in these 12 weeks you're doing this?
I don't know if I've hit any of the really big ones. A couple of weeks ago, I hit.
That's a no because you would definitely know.
Oh, one of the things that you'll learn if you watch my shows is that I have an absolutely horrible memory.
Oh,
Like
that's me.
I can't
too.
even remember the day after an event. I can't even remember who won the fights. Like
Yeah, me
straight up,
too.
not even joking. So, but I hit
Same.
Korean Silva by sub at plus 550 recently, and one other one, but I can't remember. I don't think I've hit any crazy big ones though. But
That's a good one though.
at 2,500, it's Calvin Kattar wins in round 5. Which that seems like a pretty good number for that, right? Like I do lean that fight to go the distance. I'm kind of seeing it sort of like your play there on Court McGee decision or round 3. Like I lean more toward thinking Court McGee's going to get the decision, but that round 3 is like, all right, I like that. That's kind of where I'm at here. I lean more toward thinking this is going to go the distance, but we've never seen Emmett in round 5, have we?
Emmett's never been scheduled for a 5-round fight.
Well, he would. I think he was against.
Was it for Stevens?
Jeremy Stevens. I think
was
it
a main event?
I think it was. I might be wrong, but I think that was a main event.
You're probably right.
But of course, we didn't get there anyway. So
no, that fight made me very sad.
So like if Kattar, if Kattar starts pouring the volume on, like there's that possibility. What's Emmett gonna look like? He's carrying all that muscle around. He throws hard when he throws. What's he gonna look like if we start to get 22, 23, 24 minutes into the fight? So. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think plus 2,500. That's worth a little sprinkle. I think.
Yeah, 100%. Calvin Kattar's a fucking beast, man, and he very well could just again, even though he might get hit, wobbled a little bit, whatever, bloodied, like it's gonna be a war. Like these guys are gonna push each other to the brink, man. It's gonna be a really fucking fun fight. So. Yeah, I couldn't possibly hate a stab on that, especially when you're dig into grandma's couch cushions for a little sprinkle. Like doesn't hurt nothing. So not like no big crazy tracked 10-unit play or something, So that keeps it easy. That keeps it easier. So my play here is very similar to your play before, right? Even though, right, I love my dog, I'm pulling a fast one. Okay. How about Lozon by finish at plus 290? All right. So very like I really, again, like you said, and Dan Levy said on the show yesterday very nicely, Cerrone, slow starter, Lozon, fast starter. Being a slow starter as you get really old and are getting finished by Alex Morono is great, but by the likes of Alex Morono, guys that probably wouldn't have been finishing you a couple of years ago, Lozon could come out and just pedal to the metal and get it done. Round 1, maybe early round 2. So I felt like at plus 290, there's some value there, right? Cerrone was sick, had to pull out the day of. He's on a movie set. He's not training as much. I don't know. He's got money elsewhere. He's got the gym, the place where he trains all the other fighters. He's just doing his thing, man. And he knows it's the end of the rope. And not to mention, like I had mentioned on the show, like he's literally like he doesn't do well with the pressure. He and I love the honesty from him. I love the honesty, but he'll wake up and not want to be there that day just because. So what about he wakes up and he realizes he's the co-main event? What if he wakes up, he realizes he's in his home state? What if he realizes he's only got one more fight left after this? What am I going to do? How am I going to deal with life after fight? I don't know. So he's just kind of, very hard to judge. So why not take a stab on Lozon by finish?
I like that. And I think you made a lot of really good points there that like, we don't necessarily know what we're going to get from either of these guys at this point. They're late in their career. Lozon hasn't fought in 2 years, but he looked good, his last time out. And Cerrone, like you said, he's got other things going on. He's got one foot in retirement, potentially, whatever. We don't really know what we're going to get from these guys, but I think we can count on seeing at least a few minutes of the real Joe Lozon. And I don't think we can count on seeing even a few seconds of the real Donald Cerrone, maybe, but I think, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, literally, shout out Best Fight Picks, Dan Levy. He literally said it. He's like, I think Cerrone's washed. So, like, if you think he's washed, like, if he's done and dusted, like, that's that. Like, you're not going to even get a few seconds of it. Whereas a guy like Joe Lozon, who all in his heart, all in his mind, is just going to give you 3 minutes of the best of that he can do. Like, okay, like, let's take a ride with that.
Yeah, it might be all we need. Absolutely. Love it. All right, folks, we're already at the final. We're almost done. We're already at prop number 6.
Already.
Last one I had Kattar round 5 at plus 2,500. I'm jumping up to plus 2,900 here. I got to give a shout out. I don't know if he's still here, but I got to give a shout out to Brady, DFS by the numbers, because I believe he was the one that pointed this one out to me. But plus 2,900, you can get Court McGee wins in round 3. Plus 2,900, and we just talked about this a little bit, so I don't even really have much to add. I do think the decision is probably a little bit more likely, but if that doesn't happen, I think, you know, depending upon how much we see Wells fade, and Court is that grindy, tough veteran who's gonna put it on you. And Wells carries a lot of muscle. He is a little bit older, like you said. We could potentially see him slow down, and that's that much worse when you've got a guy just grinding on you and not letting you get anything going. You know, he could be not just physically tired, but disheartened and discouraged and feeling, you know, maybe he's looking for a way out by that point. You never know. So yeah, Court McGee round 3 plus 2,900.
You know, I love that. That's fantastic. So of all your plays, right, of all the craziness you've presented me, you gave me your craziest idea, and that of all of them, if I could only tail one, that would be the one I'm tailing, because that's fucking awesome. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Like, that's sick.
It doesn't make sense even, does it?
No, it's way too likely. And that's where the capping and that's where all this stuff comes in, man. That's how we do this shit, man. That's super fun. Similarly, my big one, right? My big one is Ismagulov and Kutateladze, right? For split decision at plus 450. So I really do think that this is going to be a close fight wherever it takes place. On the feet, on the mat. These guys are really evenly matched, and it's going to be a really interesting style matchup. It's going to point fight. It's going to be really fucking interesting. And these guys are fucking tough, man. These guys haven't really been finished. So I'm not sure that they're necessarily going to be able to finish each other, as they both come in war ready, as it looks on their, you know, when I do my little IG capping. Like, these guys look shredded and ready to rock, even though I know Demir missed his last fight. He missed by 7 pounds. Very alarming. But he looked great in this IG camp now. Like, it looks like he kind of fixed that. And, you know, hopefully it doesn't look like that on the scale. He should be fine. I'll be paying close attention. But like I said, going to be really close. Ismagulov, even if he's on top, we know how active Guram is from bottom. Very Texas judges, that they're smoking dope looking this way, they're riding a cowboy looking that. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I don't know how they're boxing judges. I don't know how they're going to judge this shit. So I'd love to see a split decision plus 450.
I think that's great. I love seeing people hit those split decision. I don't typically have access to those, but those are definitely some bets that I would be looking at a lot more. I think the ability to cap split decisions and find those spots is like kind of a really specific ability, and it's interesting to me when people are really good at that, and I do think that's a good one to target there. I like that a lot. That's cool.
Yeah, I certainly don't claim to be good at it, but at least at the split decision part of it. But I again, like you said, like, you watch enough fights, and all you need, it's not, it doesn't even sound that crazy. Like, oh, you think judges are going to see it different ways? Like, no, I think people are inherently kind of dumb, and I think a fight that could play out really close could be tough to judge for people that are dumb. So, like, or even people that aren't dumb. We have tough times judging it all the time. It's a sport. And it's an art form too. That's what I love about it. It is the most decisive in terms of knockouts and submissions, but it is the most subjective, person to person, based on a decision, because it's truly an art form, and art is how you interpret it. You know, obviously there's rules that you're supposed to follow that people don't always know, but I still think that fights can be very close sometimes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and it's it's like, think about like, okay, why do we have lawyers, right? Like, I mean, these rules are, these laws are already written. Why do we need, because words are words, and words can be interpreted in a whole lot of different ways. And yeah, it's definitely, I think that's one thing that people kind of fail to appreciate when they're talking about how broken judging is and that sort of thing, is that, hey, these are just human beings reading words and interpreting them the way that they do, and that's not going to be the same for everybody. Sounds like such a simple concept, but I think it's lost on a lot of folks.
Yeah, I truly think the big problem as well is that the commissions are not separate. It is a combat sports commission, as opposed to boxing over here, MMA over here, and then we could have our own podcast about how the MMA scoring system and what that should look like, or whatever the fuck. But we all know that a simple 10-9 boxing scoring system for a sport as complex as MMA doesn't really make as much sense as as we'd like to think it does.
Yep, I'm with you. And it would make more sense if if we knew for sure that the judges were schooled in MMA rather than just boxing. Right. But yeah, but it's right.
Exactly. Very true.
Awesome. Well, I think we did it, man.
We definitely did it. I think we did it. I hope I broke the record for like longest show or something. We killed it, man.
Oh, we might have. Yeah, we went a little over an hour. Yeah, usually it ends up being like around 45 minutes or something. I think we've gone. I bet I went over an hour with Lou, because Lou and I get to talking. But yeah, this is perfect, man. This was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. Before we head out, why don't you go ahead and just once again give us the rounds of where you're at, what you're doing, what shows you do each week, that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Seriously, I had such an awesome time, and we're definitely gonna have Erik Bets Fights on at ChronicCombat, at ChronicCombat Conversations on Instagram, at ChronicCombat on Twitter, at ChronicCombat on Bet MMA Tips, where you'll find all our picks. I'm at Guru Scouting MMA. See right there. You can find me, Twitter Verdict, Instagram Tapology. My unbelievable co-host, couldn't do it without him. TB Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram Tapology. Yeah, literally, I had such a fucking blast, man. And yeah, anytime you want me back, and definitely get TB in here. He'll kill it too. And you guys will hit it off. Yeah, and thanks everybody for popping in the chat and shit. And this was awesome. It was a really fun exercise in having to figure out how to do all this shit and how to structure it. And it's super cool, man. So let's get out of here. I don't want to hold you any longer.
Awesome. I'm glad you dug it. Thanks so much for coming on. Yeah, everybody, make sure you do follow Guru Scouting MMA. Make sure you check out Chronic Combat Conversations. I'm going to shout out a few folks in the chat again. We had Dale Lippin in here right at the start. Daz Files, Victor, Lou Betcha, Chronic Combat Conversations. CB, he was in here, of course. We had Larson. Oh, asking about a yam bag. We can't be doing yam bags, but Lou was in here. Monk, DFS by the numbers was in here. Yeah, that's Prince of Mischief. Anyway, really appreciate all of you popping in here. Definitely. I am Erik with Erik Bets Fights. You can find me at Erik Bets Fights on Twitter, at Erik_Bets_Fights on Instagram, of course, right here on YouTube. You can also find me on the Never Hedge Media YouTube channel. I'm up to 5 shows a week right now, so you can kind of find me all over the place. I had said yes to a 6th show that I really, really want to do because it's with Lou and it would be really fun, and I had to really stop and think about it and be like, you know what? I just don't think I can do it, man. Like, I have a wife and kids and a life, and I got to knock it off. So anyway, thank you so much for everybody coming in. Thank you so much for Guru. Have a great night, everybody, and enjoy the fights this weekend. Take care.
Thanks so much for having me.